Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Great. So we're going to cover kind of the whole spectrum of what Wizer can offer you. From every angle, we'll do an extensive walkthrough of every feature. Obviously, if there's any questions, I'll try to follow up on this chat or the Q&A and see if there's anything there. If I missed anything, don't hesitate to stop me. But I'll go through everything, and if I'm talking about specific issues that are maybe obvious and you don't want me to dwell on them, just let me know, and I can move forward. Okay, so don't hesitate. So let me share you my screen review.
And while we're waiting for him to share his screen, I just did 2 polls. The first one is, have you ever used Wizer? So this school year, have you tried it out? Have you not tried it out? And then the second poll question is, do you need a Wizer code? We still have codes left. So just if you could fill that out so I know who still needs a code, and I will probably help you after the session.
Okay, so let's begin. So basically, Wizer allows you to create worksheets and also use the community aspect of taking an existing worksheet and modify it or take it as it is and share it with your students. We have a very simple builder that allows you to create the content and obviously share it and with your colleagues and with the students eventually, including the Google integration, the Google Classroom integration. We're going to go through this in a way that I like to do it is basically with the setup, and that usually starts with the class. And to create a new class, you basically go to the Learners tab. And in the Learners tab, you have 2 options. One is to create a regular class, which is a Wizer class, or import your classroom roster from Google Classroom. So it will open up a selection for all your classrooms, and you can select which one you want to import. And it will basically create a handshake between Google Classrooms and Wizer. And that means that everything that you assign to the students will allow them to sync the grades automatically whenever they solve it, and you basically provide feedback or auto check it. All the grades will automatically be shown in Google Classroom, and in addition, everything you assign will automatically appear on the specific classroom's Google Class basically dashboard, so they can see what assignment they have to take care of. So when you create a classroom via the import, it's easy. It takes it as it is. The entire roster will appear. And you will able to see it like so. If you create a Wizer classroom, this will basically create a new class, which you'll give it a name. We can call it demo, and you need to select the grade. Let's say second grade, and you create a new class. Now, the class that you create will have a code and a link, and this is just for obviously for teachers who are not using Google Classrooms. You can provide this link or code to the students, and by doing that, by entering this specific link or code, if I'll take this link and I'll show you how it looks on separate, how it looks on the students, then it will basically take you to a dedicated page for this specific class. Okay, so and on this page, students can enter either with their Google Classroom accounts, or they can enter by email and password, or even if those are younger students, they can enter with just a name or a code that you predefined to them and a password. They don't need an email. Now, one side note regarding this: if you do not use an email, it's important to kind of manage. The teacher should manage the list of codes or names and passwords that they allocate to the children, because there's no way to recreate a password once it's done, because there's no email for the reset. So that's an important side note. And the moment they sign in to this, they sign in into their dashboard. They have the classroom, which we'll review in a bit. So the moment they click a link, they get to it. Now, when they apply to this specific classroom, there's two options. You can select invitation security as manual or automatic. If it's auto, you don't need to approve the students coming in. If it's set to manual, there will be a little check mark here that you'll have to approve every student coming in to the classroom, because if you do it by link or by code, that means that people that mistakenly gotten that code might have access to your class, so you can screen them by using this process. So once we've created our classrooms, we can go to the main event, which is basically creating worksheets or using existing worksheets. So the easiest way is obviously to look for an existing worksheet that you want to either use as is or modify. So I'll take this worksheet, for example, off the dashboard. You can search for any type, grade level, subject, and basically once you review you can review the worksheet from here. You can see who created it originally, and at the end of the day, you're able also to see what the impact score is. The impact score is something that we use to measure, to see sort of popularity within teachers and students. An impact score kind of indicates how many students were impacted by this specific worksheet. By this specific worksheet, 2,500 students solved this worksheet. This means that it's not only students by this specific teacher, obviously. And here you can see all the, if you click these icons, you can see every single variation that this specific worksheet had by other teachers. Now, in some cases, it might be even the exact same worksheet, but in a different language. And if you like these worksheets by this specific teacher, you can view the profile and see what other worksheets this specific teacher has created and what other body of work you can use. That's just another way to navigate between these. You're able to see the subject, the grade, obviously. Now you have two action items here where you can either use the worksheet, and that means it will copy it to your section called My Worksheets, or you can assign it directly from here if you don't want to modify it. So this worksheet has various types of questions. In this case, it's 2 questions. And let's say I would like to modify it and not assign it right now. I'll click the use worksheet, and then I can go directly from here to edit my own copy. Now, each worksheet, we provide various types of backgrounds and designs that you can use as a template. There's also a popular design that allows you to add your own background, and that will be the DIY background, and that means you can choose to upload any background picture that you want, and it will embody basically the worksheet. There's various types of how you want the tiling to be, but that's there for your use. Colors and fonts are done through here. Now, the moment you've created the worksheet, this one has already a type of question that has a video question in it that you can enter some sort of video and then have fill in the blanks type question, where in fill in the blanks there's a few levels of difficulty. You can either choose to have no word bank. That means the words will need to be added by the students, and or you can have it with a text word bank or a click word bank that makes it a lot more easier. It opens up a drop down and or scratches off whatever has been selected by the student. How you create this, you simply copy paste the text into this editor, and you can simply mark the word you want to blank, and done. You're ready to go, and you can see you can choose whatever you want, and then once you're finished with editing the question, entering the instructions, by the way, for most questions, you are able to add voice instructions and video instructions. And this goes, by the way, for open questions. Students can also record their answer and not just type it if there's any, if you need them to. Once you're finished, you click done. In this specific type of question, this is fill an image. This is a very popular one because it allows you to take already created PDFs that you have and convert them quite easily into a new worksheet. I can show it to you live right now. Simply go to select the PDF that you want from the it will simply convert it, and it will allow you to kind of add hotspots on the PDF. So it's kind of the quickest way to take something that you already made and you have it in paper form and turn it into a digital form. So you basically just create hotspots for that, and you can add the answer here. Okay, you can add 30, and that means that it can also be auto-graded later on. If you don't, you'll need to manually grade this question later on. By the way, we've added, it's still not advertised, but we've added it to every premium at the moment. You've got the option to sync all your worksheets to your drive as a link, to your Google Drive as a link, and then you can do it vice versa. You can use the Google app on Drive that we have and add any PDFs that you have saved in your Google Drive and directly into create them into an individual worksheet, for example. And it will do the same as it does in fill an image. Stephanie, there's currently no way for them to highlight the text unless they use an open question with an editor, and they can do it via the editor tools that they have answering your question. This is a table question. It basically allows you to enter a criteria for instructions and then add the answers or not, depending on what you want. And then if you don't, it's sort of an open question. And if you do, it can be auto-graded. Other types of interesting questions that we offer are the matching is obvious. It's pretty simple to use. Multiple choice. Sorting is a nice type of question that allows you to basically create groups, as many groups as you want, and then just add the types of items that you want to show in each specific category. This will allow you to basically later on filter it and allow the students to either mark them to which group they want to add them to. Additional interesting feature that we have is in the video questions, where you can directly from here search for videos in YouTube. By the way, that's the only current connection that we have into videos, so that's you're able to see existing videos, and you're also able to select a specific point within the video that you want to share with your students if most of it is not relevant. So kind of a placeholder where you want the video to jump to and stand at. Another interesting popular question is the draw question. It kind of acts similar to what you can do with fill in the blanks, but it allows the students more freedom with to draw lines between you can add a background for this. And once you do, they can basically do, you can add instructions and you can add more, let's say, lines between continents or whatever, circle, add text. So it's kind of up to your decision as to how you want to use it. The embed type of question is a nice one as well. It allows you to take anything with an embed code and embed it into the worksheet. Let's say you can take something from Google Maps, for example, and add something. Can take a link from Google Maps, for example, and that's an embed link that can basically be, sorry, that's not the embed link, this is the embed link. And it will show the map. You can add anything with an embed link, or even if it doesn't have an embed link, you can use embedly to switch it into an embed link and put it into the worksheet. If it's a resource you're using, so you can basically put it into the worksheet and create a question out of it. The word search puzzle is a nice one. You can add many layers of difficulty here and basically add as many words as you want. It will generate a word search puzzle for students to mark the correct words within that. Discussion question is more of a chat, but it's a chat within the worksheet. So that means that the teacher can basically provide a discussion point, and then everybody can kind of relay their opinion into it as an answer. And yeah, unless there's any questions regarding specific types of question, I can move forward into the assignment stage. All right.
Yeah, I don't think there are any. I think the only question was about the highlighting the text, which you already answered.
Yeah. So yeah, text is you can highlight it through here for the tools in the editor, but that's basically it. We will be adding, I believe in about a month or so, another addition to the text editor, which will allow complex math equations. That means that it can, the student or the teacher can basically draw the equation, write it in handwritten, and they can switch it into a printed equation, and a bunch of other more complex math issues. You can see there's a few questions here. Read to feature. Could you clarify as to what, Patricia, as to what you're referring to?
I think a lot of our programs, if you want to go ahead, Patty, feel free. But I think what she's talking about, like we use Read and Write for Google. So does that work? I'm assuming probably on this platform. Another workaround a lot of the teachers use is the voice and recording audio. So then the kids can hear what the passage is being read to from their teacher, and it's more of that human voice rather than that robot voice.
So we don't have the robot voice. We only have the option to record the instruction, record the question, record the passage through here, either by video or by voice. And the student has the option to do it as well on their end. You can also do within specific questions like matching. You can also add video or audio within that specific box for the matching. Another question here is,
so the next question's from Sarah. I have a question about the best way to share assignments and how to change dates and see scores. And then Evan
Great.
2 times it.
So yeah, so this is the next thing we're going to review now, which is the assignment and the assessment. So that's the next steps. So I'll just move towards it. The review is where you can basically see the worksheet as it will show to the student before you assign it. It's kind of a less place where you can check it before you assign it. So this is how it will show to the student eventually, with all the questions that we added. Once you're happy with it, we'll move to assign. So with assign, I will admit that it's a bit confusing in times, but this is the way, if you're working with Google Classrooms, the way to assign it is by class. And you'll choose the classroom from the Google Classrooms that you imported already prior to creating the worksheet. And once you click assign, this specific worksheet will appear on Google Classrooms. It will create an assignment for it. It will give it a name, which you can edit, usually with the class name on it. From the Assign tab, you're able to either completely lock the worksheet to student access. That means that nobody can, they'll have the link, they won't be able to enter it. You're able to shuffle the questions if it's a test or anything that you don't want the order of the questions to be the same for each student. And you're able to schedule it via the Wizer scheduler and provide specific time limit for the worksheet. So you can do a 30-minute time trial, and within 30 minutes from the moment they enter the worksheet, when the time passes, it will basically hand itself in. It won't wait for the student to do it. And then you're able to schedule when this specific worksheet can be accessible by the students. They'll see the link on their dash, on their Google Dash, which is something that we're working on changing, because there's a bit of confusion here. It won't wait. If you use the schedule here, the moment you assign to Google Class, it will show on Google Classroom. That means that unlike when we share a worksheet via link, which is a different type of way to share worksheets, but it doesn't have the sync with Google Classrooms in terms of grades. It will, you're able, if you share it to Google Classroom via link through here, it will open up the Google Classroom Assign tab. And this is something that we're still working with Google on trying to figure out how we can integrate this between our scheduler and their scheduler. Because right now, you're able to select and assign. And here you have all the options of assigning it to a specific, you're able to schedule it to a specific date when it will appear for them. So that's a bit different. We're looking for a way to integrate this into the Classroom tab. But if you want the grades to sync, this is currently the best practice on how to do it. So you should assign it by class. Another important thing in this window is the automatic grading, which means if you have most of the, or let's say even some of the worksheet has closed cap questions, you're able to hit the auto grade, and then the students, the moment they solve it, they'll see the answers to the worksheet. You don't need to provide feedback on it. If you have questions, open questions within that worksheet, they'll see the correct answers for the ones that are already have auto grade on it. And whenever they'll see a little icon of a clock next to it, meaning that the open question is awaiting the teacher's feedback, and they should come back and see the grade or the full feedback or the full score for the worksheet later on once the feedback is provided. And that's for the automatic feedback. That one is important. Private, publish your worksheet to the gallery. Most schools keep the works private, and it's default private. So, but if you want to share it, the worksheet you created to the gallery, it should be public. But by default, premium users have it set to private. Questions regarding this step in the assign process before I move to the grading and assessment? Okay. Once we've assigned this, it will appear on the student's dashboard. Student dashboard looks something like this. One second, I'll show you a different screen. So this was the student that we created earlier on. I can choose the no email sequence, and I can sign in as a student. This is how a student looks like. Okay. At the end of the day, this is what the students will see. They can get, if you remember, there is a specific code. If you don't use Google Classroom, if you use the code or you use the link, this is where they can enter the codes for either joining a new classroom or a new or a specific worksheet. And once I go into a worksheet, and this is from the student's view, of course. This is one is already completed. We can do one with the sorry. This is something that has a little bit more, you can see there's different classrooms, different teachers here. We can do something that hasn't been answered yet. So I'm a student, I can basically start answering worksheet and eventually hand it in. Once I do, if it has open questions or it didn't put the auto feedback on, it will say come back later for feedback from your teacher. The moment there's feedback applied to it, they can come back and see the notes that the teacher provided them. Now, this is how it looks when we do it. Let me just do this so we can. So I have at least one answer on the assessment page. Yeah. Now, once we've assigned it, we can go to the Answers tab. Sorry. Apologize with the share screen. It usually takes a bit long time. Here we go. So with the this is how the assessment page looks like, and there can be if it's a Google Classroom, you'll have all the roster already shown up here. You can scroll between the assignments that you've assigned for different classroom for this specific worksheet. You may have like 7 classrooms here for the same worksheet, and you can navigate through here to choose the correct. This is the Google Classroom we've created, and this is just a link that I've just assigned it to. You have the option to search or sort it by first name, last name, or the score. You can see when was the last time that this specific student worked on it, how long did he invest into working on the specific worksheet, and where is it in the progress. And that means this one specifically, the student have already submitted it for feedback. Kyle, in regards to the question of allowing them the opportunity to improve the questions, you can basically, once you unlock the worksheet after they submit it, it will be open for them to retake it. And then you can basically provide them with a different grade, and that's the grade that will update to the Google Classrooms eventually. When you grade, you're able to provide feedback by audio, video, emoji, or just text. And a general feedback down here. Now, open questions need to be graded. You need to provide a point value for that. And once you do, it basically gives the full point back to the student. Now, with feedback, the moment you provide feedback, you're able to, the student will able to see the answers on his end. That's the feedback, that's the right or wrong, and at the end of the day, that's the final score. And another feature that we've just lately added here is the call it in. If for some reason a student forgot to hand in the work, or I don't know, something went wrong, you can basically call the worksheet in, regardless of where he is in the stages, which you can see where the student got stuck at in terms of if you can see that the student finished the worksheet but for some reason didn't hand it in, you can call it in, and it will be graded by you, and he'll get the grades according to where he was at the last point. That's the assessment. Questions regarding the assessment page? Virginia? Yeah, so for questions that, Virginia, for questions that have been misspelled, yes, you're able to change the score or change it specifically for the student. Let's say misspelled something here, you're able to switch it into green if you choose to. And eventually it will basically reflect that in its score.
And don't forget to hit at the bottom, I believe you have to like type something in the feedback for it to update, is what we noticed too.
We've fixed this. Hopefully by next week that won't be necessary.
Okay, perfect.
But that's true. It's something that was a glitch from the previous version, but it should by next week should be available. It will refresh itself internally, and you should be able to provide either save or apply feedback without doing that. Any more questions regarding the assessment or anything that I've went through before I move to differentiation and a little bit more of the more premium features here? Okay. So one more aspect of something that we do here, and it's pretty useful at the end of the day, is we're able to provide differentiation tools where you can basically differentiate your worksheet. So it could fit your class's needs, the specific student's needs. When we go to the Learners tab, where you can see the entire class roster, where, let's take this class for example, and that you choose a specific student. Sorry. So I'm able to apply profiles and attributes to each student with strengths, challenges, passion, preferences, whatever you choose. It's not something that needs to be taken from the existing pool, although you have it for your discretion. But you can choose that the passions might be sports, right? And drawing is a preference. And then once you've set the learner attributes, we can use those to differentiate the worksheet accordingly. Now, there's another option here not a lot of people use, but it's there. It's allowing the students to tell us about themselves, what they prefer. Now, you can either use it or not use it, but they have a section on their login where they can basically select their learner profiles and say what they prefer to do, what they feel their challenges are. And it's up to the teacher's discretion to see what's what. And then you can see their performance summary, which is also, you can also differentiate according to average grade. Now, once you've set those rules, we can go back to the worksheet that we created. And for example, this question is a fill in the blanks question. And if we edit it, you can see that you have the option to create an alternative question to this question. So this is a fill in the blanks question. But let's say for differentiation's sake, we want to add a draw question for students that basically struggle with typing or anything else. And you can basically type the exact same question here and apply the differentiation instruction. Now, once you do that, you can create a rule. There's a short instruction here, but you can, sorry, it's closed. You can create several rules. Now, these are rules that are already created, but I'm going to show you how to create one from scratch. And once you've created a name for the rule, you basically add filters. You can add several filters within a rule, depending on where you want to get it to. And let's say you can say the passion is, let's say, reading, or say dance is the passion. And I can create a filter. Now, any student that matches this specific rule will have the option to choose between two questions. That means he will have the option to either select to take the, let's say I want to choose the rules. Let's say I'm going to choose an existing rule that I have. Hit done. So you can see that it says that the learner rule is writing. Any student with the learner rule that has writing as a preference or a challenge will basically have the option between two questions, either the blank question or the draw question, whatever might fit his needs. Students without a learner profile that don't fit the profile will basically only have the original type question, which is the blank, fill in the blanks question. Questions regarding this differentiation? Cool. Just one more thing I forgot to mention. This is where you can kind of change the question order. You can basically send questions back or forward. And you can also take an existing question, duplicate it, and edit it later on. Another interesting premium feature is the option for you to give the students an assignment, which is basically to create their own worksheet. So when the student goes into his dashboard, you're able to see the worksheets, and the student can create a worksheet. Now, it's important. An important note about this process is that these worksheets don't go out to anybody else but yourself. That they go to a specific section within the teacher dashboard, which is here. You can see that the students only have create and review and save. Once they do, you as a teacher can see it on your Learner Worksheets tab, which is right up here. You can see any worksheet was created by your students. That's it, basically. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Can you go over real quick just how to share a Wizer worksheet with colleagues?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two ways to do that. One, you go to My Worksheets. You're able to, by the way, create folders which you can share with your colleagues. That's one way to do it. You can create a specific folder for all math department, ELA department, and these specific folders can be shared. You have a link for it, which you can give your colleagues, okay, or send it to them by email. And anybody with this link can either add to this folder or use anything in that folder. This is something that a lot of teachers use. This is one way of sharing it. The other way is basically when you go to My Worksheets, you can either do it through here. Sorry. You have the share button right here. Sorry. You can either share it to social or copy a link and send it to the teachers. Another option is within the editor. You have the show worksheet right on the top right corner, which will open all the same panel of share options that you have. We also have, sorry. Just one more thing I forgot to mention. You can download, if you need to, you can download the CSV of all the grade sheet and all the roster with the grades for here, if you need to. If you're synced to Google Classroom, it's not really needed, but if you work with other platforms, sometimes it's being used that way. Yeah, those are the ways to basically share a worksheet between colleagues. I think with schools, what we found best is to create kind of shared folders for departments, and then it's kind of easy to share folders between each other.
And then I recently saw a new feature where it said add to drive. I think it was under worksheets. What is the purpose of that?
So the add to drive is a new feature that we've just circulated. The idea there is basically, I'll show it to you, is that you can go to Drive and you can take whatever worksheet you've created. You can either do a specific worksheet and you can click Add to Drive. It will basically open a sync to Google Drive and take this specific worksheet and create it as a link in your Google Drive for your account you've selected. Now, if you go to Google Drive, open Google Drive on the other end. So you can see it opened the Google Drive right here as a standalone link within the within Google Drive. But what you can do is basically take any PDF through here that you already have and make it into a worksheet directly from your Drive. So that's kind of how it works, how the Google app works from the other end. So if I choose any PDF, I can turn, or an image, by the way, I can turn it directly into a worksheet through here. You also have the option, basically, from my worksheets, from the My Worksheets tab, you can sync all your worksheets to Google Drive. And then if you're in Google Drive, you can basically navigate to your Wiser Worksheets through here. You can create a folder with all your Wiser Worksheets, and you can navigate through here to them. So I can take all of these worksheets right here, and I can save them all to Google Drive. And this is kind of something, it's kind of a preliminary run, so we haven't sent any information about it yet. But that's what this is what it does. It's operational, and you can use it.
Feel free to ask any other questions, or if your question was not answered, just let us know. Anything else coming down the roadmap for new products that you could share with us?
There's a few. Obviously, the Wiris add-on, the math add-on, is something that most math teachers are pressuring us to bring up, and we're pushing it as soon as possible because we understand that there's a great need for easier way to create equation and use accents on the editor. So that's coming. The Google Drive was something that we just recently loaded. There's a few more question types that will be coming in, and a little bit more ability to create, let's call it, audio questions will be something that's a little bit more you can edit it a little bit more, and we're gonna upgrade the editor for the draw as well. But in terms of major features, I think that the Wiris is the one that we're kind of working towards too, and there's a great demand to. We will be making some modifications. These are not upgrades, but something that we feel that, you know, in places where the assign to Google Classrooms to integrate it with the Google Classroom assign is something that we want to kind of get up and running pretty quickly, because a lot of teachers need that option to not have the worksheet shown on the class dashboard before they're ready to see it. So, which with the current sync, as I mentioned, it's a bit problematic.
And then I think Aaron just had one more question, and feel free again if you have any questions to put them in the chat or in the Q&A. Is it possible to open the worksheet from the student screen without having to readjust the due date?
Without having to readjust the due date, if the due date has passed, the only way to allow them to open it is to kind of unlock it for them specifically, because it locks itself automatically afterwards. Not submit the worksheet. The topic change. So this, Aaron, this is something we're going to need to look into, because if that, you should be able to do it specifically, but if it doesn't work for you, I'll be happy to look into this.
Any other questions, comments, or feedback? Feel free to come off mute or put it in the Q&A or in the chat. And then if not, have a great rest of your day. I'll stay on until 11. That's when my next meeting is, but feel free to hop off or stay on. Thank you again for providing this training.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And we can, you know, any other questions, you know, just feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to help.
All right.
Okay. So no questions. Okay.
I guess not. That was nice.